This episode of The Young Turks is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook at audiblepodcast.com/TYT. Go.
Now, Alan Simpson is an interesting character. I've told you about him before. He's one of the leaders of the Deficit Commission. Now, if you remember, if you're old school Young Turks, there's some old school Republicans that I still have a soft spot for. Senator Danforth from Missouri, who wound up being the UN ambassador to George Bush. And I said, look, that guy's not that unreasonable, okay? I know, old school Republican, etc. And you know what he did? Eventually, he quit being ambassador for Bush because he was so embarrassed by Bush. He made up an excuse about how his wife had a twisted ankle. And later, he came on our program and said, yes, look, the actions taken were wrong. And then there is Senator Lugar from Indiana, who's still in the Senate. And he's actually in foreign policy very smart and often correct. Now, during the Bush years, led by the Republican Party, also often incorrect. But I said, at his core, that guy knows what he's doing. Politics of the moment might swing him in a direction that I can't stand, but I know he's a smart guy. And that turned out to be true. During the recent treaty that we had with Russia, when the Republicans were trying to block it, Senator Lugar was out there saying, no, don't block it. This treaty makes sense. It's crazy to try to block it, and he helped to get it passed. And then the third guy in that contingent that I put in every once in a while is Alan Simpson. Now, Alan Simpson is a much more complicated character. What I love about him is his honesty, whether you like it or you don't. And when he wants to gut Social Security, I think it is a terrible and wrong-headed decision. And he will tell you very honestly, though, he's like, look, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to raise the retirement age. I think you guys are looking off of it. You remember the famous quote he had about over 300 million Americans sucking on the tit of Social Security. Now, that's totally wrong because we paid into Social Security. We're not sucking off of anything, okay? That's our money coming back to us. But, look, where his position is clear because he's very honest with you, right? Now, that refreshing honesty takes a really positive turn in an interview he had recently on Hardball. Let's watch that first.
Well, we won a governorship there in New Jersey, one in Virginia, by not talking about social issues. Who the hell's for abortion? I don't know anybody running around with a sign that says have an abortion. They're wonderful. They're hideous, but they're a deeply intimate and personal decision, and I don't think men legislators should even vote on the issue. Then you've got homosexuality. You've got don't ask, don't tell. We have homophobes in our party. That's disgusting to me. We're all human beings. We're all God's children. Now, if they're going to get off on that stuff, Santorum has said some cruel things about homosexuals. Ask him about it. See if he attributes the cruelness of his remarks years ago foul. Now, that's the kind of guys that are going to be on my ticket. Makes you sort out hard what Reagan said. Stick with your folks. But I'm not sticking with people who are homophobic, anti-women. Moral values while you're diddling your secretary, while you're giving a speech on moral values. Come on, get off of it.
Well, don't stop.
No,
anyway, I think it's what killed your chance to lead that party because you talk like that. They don't think like you do.
Listen, I love that in 18 different ways. First of all, the diddling your secretary line was... That was manna from heaven. That was awesome. Can you say that on television? I didn't know you could say diddle. Okay, now you learn something new every day. Now, look, the reason why I like some of these old school Republicans that were in the Senate as I was growing up is not just because I used to be a Republican back then. It's because I'm the only one who hasn't lost their mind in Washington. I swear to you that the Republican Party was not nearly as right-wing as they are today. The spectrum keeps shifting right under our feet, and it's going further and further right. For the life of me, I cannot understand how you could be in politics professionally, either as a representative or as a commentator, and not see this massive shift of the political spectrum to the right. And it's proven by guys like Simpson, who have been thinking this for decades, for 20, 30, 40 years, and he used to be the right wing of his party. And you just heard him. Now he would be massively left-wing of his party. In fact, he'd be left-wing of the Democratic Party on social issues. Now, that doesn't mean that I agree with Alan Simpson. I think that the Deficit Commission that he led is a disaster, honestly. And see, that's the second part of my frustration with Washington, is their belief in this conventional wisdom that cannot be shaken. So Simpson believes, and he's backed up by almost every commentator I've seen, and all the writers, etc. Oh, no, we have to do something about Social Security or Medicare and Medicaid. Those entitlements, what's killing our deficit, and we have to cut them, otherwise there's no other way of doing it. That, massively, colossally wrong on two fronts, okay? First of all, Social Security has zero problem. All they've ever done is rob it blind. It's supposed to have a $2.5 trillion surplus, okay? It has no financial issues. You know, they say in 2037, it might have a slight issue because it can only pay 78% of the money that's owed in 2037. And by the way, you could fix that in a second by saying, hey, you know what? We're no longer capping the payroll at 100,000 or 106,000. We're capping it at 200 or 250,000. Problem solved. It's the easiest fix in the world. So when they say Social Security has a problem, I don't know if it's that they're lying or it's that they're so encased in the Washington bubble that they just can't help but blame Social Security because that's what everybody in Washington does, right? But it's not true. It's not remotely true, right? And when Simpson says stuff like that, it drives me crazy. He's dead wrong on that. The second problem is they don't even consider the idea that, hey, perhaps we can go back to a sane tax rate. Now, the Deficit Commission, for example, says, hey, we should take out a lot of the tax loopholes. Now, I love that they take out some of the tax loopholes, but they also take out things like, you know, the credit you get for paying your mortgage. Now, I actually don't agree with that credit, so I like that they're doing that. But that hits the middle class. Now, again, I think shared pain, okay, that you take away that tax credit from the middle class, I can live with it. I can live with it if you also have the shared pain with the top bracket. But what does the commission do? It lowers the top bracket to about 24 or 25% from 35%. That's crazy. Crazy. And then they say, oh, well, that we had no choice but to hack Medicare and Social Security so that the elderly pay, and we had no choice but to hack Medicaid so that the poor pay. No, again, I don't know if you're lying or if Alan Simpson, who is normally an honest guy, as you saw there, can't see straight because he's in the Washington bubble. No, you do have another choice. It's to have the rich pay their fair share. Look, the last time a Republican balanced the budget, it was Dwight Eisenhower. And the tax rate at that point for the top bracket was 91%. Okay, to me, that seems crazy. That's way, way, way too high, okay? But now, we're way, way, way too low. And everybody in Washington tells you it's not possible. And it's just so, don't believe the hype. That's not true. But when you see how guys who were considered right-wing in all fronts are now considered, you know, as you watch Alan Simpson there, I'm not sure there's a Democratic senator or congressman outside of a handful of people who would have the nerve to say that on television. The president? You think the president would have said things like that? No way! Our Democratic president is to the right of Alan Simpson on social issues. Okay? Our Democratic president isn't even for gay marriage yet. Do you see how much the spectrum has shifted? So people who I think, like Alan Simpson, who are still massively wrong on important issues, are now left of center in some crazy way. We got to get Washington back to sanity, and we're nowhere near it right now.
Audible.com is the leading provider of audiobooks.
In fact, they have over 75,000 titles.
And you can listen on your iPod or your MP3 player. You can listen to it anywhere, at any time. It's incredibly convenient.
And they have books in every single genre imaginable. You can get a free audiobook if you go to audiblepodcast.com/TYT.
Totally true.